exciting stuff going on in the world last week and this week. Of course, Congressman George Santos was forced out of office. He was expelled. He's now threatening Quanell to expose his colleagues for their horrible misdeeds. I'm kind of excited about that. I'm glad he's gone, con artist in office that he is, but aren't so many of them. And I do look forward to him tearing down, the crab in the bucket. That's exciting.
Dude is trash.
But I mean, he's trash, right? I mean, he's trash. I think he rode in on a wave, Quanell, of the media being reticent to criticize anyone in the LGBT community as if somehow they're off limits, right? They shouldn't be, the same scrutiny shouldn't be applied to them, because he made it through telling lies about his mother's death, saying 9/11, and she had died like 15 years later. He lied about his job history, he lied about his education, he lied about his experience. When he was found in pictures of drag, he lied about that. This man lied about everything, then took money and spent it on OnlyFans and luxury.
That wasn't the biggest lie.
What's the biggest lie?
That his mother died in the World Trade Center, the 9/11
Yeah,
bombing.
9/11, yeah. No, I mean, this man lies about everything. I'm glad he's gone. And of course, we still have a lot of lies going on everywhere else. Savannah Guthrie of the Today Show, talking to Liz Cheney, I think Monday, asked her if, instead of the whole question, if Trump's reelected, he might not ever leave office, and to suggest that this coming election, Trump would be the new dictator. First of all, isn't Trump damn near 80 years old? So how long are you going to stay? But two, this kind of fear-mongering, I think, is going to define the media on the next debate. Liz Cheney, obviously a Republican who was stridently, when she was in office in Congress, stridently against Donald Trump the whole way through. I think it's a bit absurd.
And lost to a Trump supporter.
Right.
So at the root of her criticism of Donald Trump and making this bold, outrageous statement is because she actually lost to Donald Trump supporter.
She lost to a Trump
and they
supporter
told
because
her
she was critical
that she
of
was
Trump.
going to lose for criticizing Donald Trump.
Right.
So she has an axe to grind with Donald Trump. So her comments are not about what's in the best interest of the American people. It's really about her axe to grind with Donald Trump.
Well, I mean, she had an axe to grind with him when he was elected. She was, obviously a central Republican figure behind the impeachments, and she was always been very, very loudly anti-Trump. I think largely related to his criticism of her father when he was vice president. And of course, I think Dick Cheney might possibly be the evilest politician that we've seen in our lifetime, with his lies
that's something
behind
you and I can agree on.
The lies
because he was
behind
one
the
of
war in
America's
Iraq.
greatest warmongers.
Oh yeah,
and this man was an absolute evil crook in robbing the American people to benefit Halliburton and enrich himself and his family with fake false wars like Iraq. And this man was one of the leading voices behind weapons of mass destruction when he and Rumsfeld, Donald Rumsfeld, the late Rumsfeld, knew these were lies.
So Dick Cheney actually was just supposed to be the head of the committee to help George W. Bush pick a vice president, and decided that committee needed to pick him, right? He had no real political experience.
None.
He's interesting that he wouldn't even be in politics. He should be a felon because all the DWIs he got in the 60s, when you could get DWIs and stack them up and they didn't become felonies. His whole shooting the buddy in the face quail hunting in South Texas. I don't do a whole lot of hunting, but the kind of hunting I did growing up was quail hunting in South Texas. And the fact that he disappeared and there was no blood alcohol, when someone like Liz Cheney tries to grab the moral high ground in an effort to defend her dad, it's always shocking to me. But I think we're going to hear this kind of fear-mongering because the media doesn't want us talking about issues. I'm not a fan of Trump. I'm not a fan of Biden. But when there's a robust discussion about the state of the economy, we had Biden applauding his achievements and Kamala Harris applauding their achievements on the economy, when every American is struggling right now. These interest rates are out of control. I expect the Fed to lower them to try to help Biden get reelected next year, but everyone is hurting. Inflation is hidden. It's much worse than they talk about. Public safety's in the toilet. This billion-dollar theft industry. We're more divided than we've ever been, which is a sad statement of America. I think they have to talk about fascism and despotism and all this stuff because they don't want to talk about the issue.
That's not what's happening, Charles.
What's going on?
Let me tell you something. Remember, I said this on this show today when you see it coming real soon in the future. Because Joe Biden and his administration and his supporters see his polling numbers at an all-time low, like never before.
Never before.
When you see a sitting president whose numbers in a one-on-one race against any of the Republican candidates, he's losing to all of them. This is what's about to happen. The same thing George Bush Jr. did.
Start a war?
They're going to start a war because it is extremely rare and almost impossible to unelect a sitting president during a time of war. And why you think they're now saying that Iran is supporting proxy wars coming out of Yemen, attacking American soldiers?
Well, Iran is.
Iran is involved in helping the terrorists in Iraq and the terrorists in Afghanistan and terrorists in the Middle East of Lebanon attack Israel and attack American installations and American servicemen and women. Here's the deal. They're getting ready to start a war with Iran. And they're going to do this to secure Biden's reelection. And thousands of American young men and women will go to war and come back in body bags. And they don't give a damn about your children, the poor, the working class in America, your children coming home in body bags, because those rich politicians on Capitol Hill, their children will not be sent to fight those wars. They're going to do this to secure his reelection. That's what's coming.
So the war machine obviously is a multi-billion-dollar industry that, I mean, I don't disagree that we go to war for, I mean, the chess that the heads of state play with the globalist corporatist agenda is something that us regular folks aren't ever going to understand or being given access to the information. I'm going to throw you a curveball, and we didn't talk about this before we started filming, but earlier this week on Monday, they restarted in Israel, they restarted the corruption trial of Netanyahu, right? It had been put on hold after October 7th. Now, I think there's been a tremendous number of horrific lies told around the world about claiming the IDF was responsible for the people slaughtered at the music concert and the kibbutzes, and it wasn't Hamas. There's plenty of evidence, plenty of videos, and make no mistake that, and Hamas agrees, right? They've done horrible things. They've done horrible things. I don't think they're releasing the women that they still hold captive, because they've probably been subjected to horrifying sexual assault. Monsters, right? Terrorist monsters. But the president of Egypt said immediately after October 7th that his security services had made Israel aware of the plan, right? And so you have the possibility that Netanyahu's government was aware. Now, obviously,
and
Egypt
allowed this to happen.
Well, I don't know if they
allowed it to happen.
I don't think anyone expected
to draw distraction away from his corruption trial that was coming, and to draw distraction away from thousands of military men and women in Israel who was leaving the military and protesting their own government in Israel, and they were demanding that he step down and they end his administration. So I believe that it's possible they allowed this to happen to get everybody's focus away from his corruption trial and the wrongdoing of his administration, put it on Hamas, and the rest of the world would see this war. They started a war to protect him and his administration.
Well, so
they allowed these devils in Hamas to come and do that.
I am horrified by the global response calling for the contextualization of what Hamas did, right? All these people, I think, are absolute idiots, and they don't understand. You see trans for Hamas. You've seen billboards, all this stuff. It's crazy, right? These are people that don't allow anyone with any different views to exist. You can't go to Gaza and be openly gay. You can't go to Gaza and not have to wear your head covered. You can't go appreciate secular music. It is a totalitarian regime that is driven by the evil of Hamas. And Egypt is more than aware, right? We had obviously the Arab Spring, and the Muslim Brotherhood took over Egypt, which has historically been incredibly secular.
No, they were elected by the Egyptian people. The Muslim Brotherhood, the Islamic Brotherhood was elected by the Egyptian people.
And then you had a coup, and now you have someone.
And America supported that coup.
Of course they did.
And that was a democratically elected government, but because they were an Islamic government, America sat by, didn't say one damn thing.
Well, at the end of the day, what we've seen is every time an extremist Islamist regime takes, you talk about Iran before the fall, right? Before the Khomeini, the Shah, the Ayatollah took power from the Shah. Iran was the heart of mathematics and science in the Middle East and the world. You had tons of freedom, and now you don't.
But
right?
you had tons of corruption under the Shah's administration.
Hold on. You look at Iraq, you had Saddam Hussein, who we funded and we armed, and he kept Iran
and had a
in
healthy
check.
government
Incredibly,
under his administration. And he kept terrorism at an all-time low. Al-Qaeda couldn't grow in Iraq.
People forget, Iraq had the most robust secular middle class of anywhere.
And look at them now.
Gaddafi, right? Gaddafi was trying to
no poverty in Libya.
To slice off the unbelievable payments made to the French government.
That's right.
From Libya and the control, and
and he wanted to develop a new African currency.
So the real question is, you look at this statecraft, right? Like, so if you talk about how, and I hate to sit here and sound like Alex Jones because I think that guy's a nutbag, but if you listen to what people are saying, that those that actually, both Hamas and the citizens, because there were people that weren't part of Hamas that went in there and butchered people too, but they were surprised at how easily they entered into Israel, right? Now, I don't think Netanyahu's administration ever imagined that there would be an incursion where they are just straight up gang raping women and shooting them in the head and killing children. I mean, the worst story I heard is they kill the husband, they're raping the mom, they put the kid the baby in the oven and bake it to death, and then shoot the mom.
And they should be subject to Sharia law. Every member of Hamas that participated in those acts of evil against humanity should be subject to Sharia law.
But how about not just subject to law?
No, stop, no. Because they were chanting what when they were doing it? Allahu Akbar.
Yeah.
Okay, so if you're going to evoke Allah's name and his religion in your hateful, nasty, despicable crimes, well, then we use the same law of Islam to punish you for your crimes.
But here's
and
the
any
problem.
man that raped a woman, any man that killed an innocent human being and kidnapped kids, the law in Islam is remove the head from the shoulders.
I think that Israel is going to effectively kill all of the people
but
that
that's not who they're killing.
Well, I know, they're also killing children.
Women and children.
Well, but there's a huge difference. Israel is not targeting women and children. Hamas is using them. I disagree with the bombing, don't get me wrong. But Hamas is using them as human shields. They're protecting their establishments. There's video of people trying to flee a hospital and Hamas shooting them.
How many died on October 7th?
It's not you can't contextualize it to. You can't. The British forces.
15,000 have died in Palestine.
The British forces killed far more German citizens when ending the Third Reich.
Stop, Charles.
Right? What you're trying to...
This indiscriminate bombing in Palestine has killed 15,000 citizens, and 70% are women and children.
How many women and children were raped by the IDF? Zero.
Stop, Charles.
No. You stop.
Now what we want to do is we want to say
I don't think you can contextualize
1,300 died on October the 7th justifies the killing of 15,000 Palestinians who the overwhelming majority don't even support Hamas?
I disagree with the bombing campaign. I have vocally since the beginning. I think it's far more dangerous to enter than there, engage in ground warfare, but I think it's what's necessary.
Now.
I think what it's necessary, but I also support Israel killing every member of Hamas.
But you can't bomb your way out that problem.
Okay, but the problem is Hamas and the Hezbollah and a number of terrorists have been bombing their ways into problems for decades.
And Charles,
right? And we have to stop pretending. Pretending
Hamas,
that these
Islamic
radical
jihad,
theocrats are engaged in a religion
problem.
of peace. At the end of the day, it's radical Muslim terrorism that has swept all over this world.
I disagree.
And you talk about white people constantly, but they have swept all over this world. You look at it in the United Kingdom.
You have fanatics and criminals
who
are trying to hide themselves and
control
build
Iran,
behind
they control Gaza, they control the West Bank, they control the majority. There's a reason Jews can't exist anywhere else in the Middle East. There's a reason Christians are under siege everywhere else in the Middle East.
That's not true.
No. You're going to
That's not true.
There are less than 20,000 Jews in North Africa and the rest of the Middle East outside of Israel.
So let me ask you a
because they are
question.
murdered.
Let me ask you a question.
They are not allowed to practice their faith.
Before 1948, were they murdering Jews in the Middle East?
Okay.
Because of their religion? Yes or no?
Yes.
No, they were not.
Yes.
Jews were not being targeted for acts of terrorism before 1948. They were living in peace with their Palestinian brothers and sisters. There was peace in the Middle East, in Palestine, before 1948 between Jews and Palestinians.
That's why we have so many. That's a fact. That's not a fact. In fact,
do your research, my friend.
You need to do your research. That's what all these idiots are running around with Palestinian flags
in Palestine before 1948.
Chasing Jewish people down and assaulting them across the world with no consequence because the cops in the UK are scared.
Charles, do you know that there are groups in Israel that target Christians because they don't tolerate Christians?
Okay, again, there's radicals.
There's fanatics in every religion, Charles.
But you can't.
But they're not the norm. They're not the standard bearers.
Okay, 75% of those in Gaza and the West Bank supported the murders of October 7th.
I disagree with that lie.
Stop pretending
I disagree
that
with
it's
that
the
lie.
fanatics.
I disagree with that lie.
The fanatics are in control. Then it's not fanaticism.
75% of the people in Palestine disagree with the occupation.
Okay.
They disagree with the living
Apparently
conditions.
You don't research enough.
They disagree with
I
the
know
racism,
it's easier to
and
debate
they disagree with the lack of equality. But they don't agree with killing innocent men, women, and children. You're wrong with that.
Apparently they do. But what we started with, do you think Netanyahu let this happen?
I believe so. It's possible.
Because, I mean, obviously,
I believe it's
he had tried to shut down the power of the judiciary before his trial, and that's what led, you referred to a lot of people trying to leave the military. But now you have Egypt being very clear that they informed them. And this is a kind of statecraft that goes on to start wars that us regular folks fight in.
Same thing happened in Iraq.
Well, you're a big supporter of climate change agenda.
Remember the sinking of the Lusitania?
Don't you think that we are being force-fed? You know, it was global cooling, acid rain, global warming, now it's climate change. It's all designed to tax us more and take away freedoms. Now the United Nations is telling America, we got to stop eating so much meat. Now you have a number of organizations telling Americans we have to have less international travel.
Let's be honest, Americans eat too much meat.
Okay, but
in fact, we'd have a healthier nation if we cut back on meat consumption.
They're talking about radically constricting our ability to get access to meat. They'd rather us eat bugs. Like at what point? I don't know about that. What point do you recognize that all of this is designed as an assault on our liberties? Ireland, okay, after the Muslim radical tried to kill a whole schoolyard of children, and a teacher jumped in and got stabbed multiple times. And of course they didn't want to talk about that in the news, but the people of Dublin are upset about it. So now what Ireland is doing is they're trying to pass legislation to strip citizens, not just the ability to speak publicly, but to have memes on their phone that they don't even share. They have people that criticize the immigration policy publicly, just said, you know, they just it doesn't work, they're taking off, and they end up in jail. This whole thing is about the Western world being forced to sacrifice liberties that we take for granted because they're in our foundational documents,
Charles,
and us to expect war and control. It's all nonsense.
But there are many in the Western world who are spearheading taking these liberties away from
them. No, I agree.
The American people and those in the West.
I agree.
These are not some people out in the Middle East.
No, I agree.
These are people in the Western world doing this.
No, the globalists.
Freedom of speech is really outlawed in some nations in Europe.
Oh, well, most nations.
You can't open your mouth and say what you believe.
France has a very similar concept to ours about free speech, but in the United Kingdom, in Ireland,
you can go to jail.
There are people going to jail constantly, but it's weird. People chanting from the mountains to the sea, people chanting horrible things about Jews, they're not going to jail. You know who's going to jail is British citizens who are trying to support their country. And Britain is very different from the United States. We're a nation built on immigration. I'm very pro-immigration. We need to continue.
European nations.
We also employed, we were...
Brexit was at the root of that idea about the immigration problem into Europe.
But Europe also didn't, at least the United Kingdom, didn't embrace slavery at all. They didn't do any of this. They were colonizers. They weren't.
They embraced slavery big time.
Not like America did.
Oh, they embraced. They got rich from slavery out of Africa.
Instead, they just colonized, right?
That's slavery.
So, no, I agree. It's bad. But, I mean, the thing is, what we have all of these freedoms being assaulted under the banner of climate change, under the banner of global corporatism, and then we have all the statecraft, all these wars starting, right? I mean, you think Biden's going to start a war. Like, at what point do we all get sick of it, Quanell? At what point do we as Americans say, hey, maybe we should start voting for people that are going to actually put the concerns of American citizens of all races, before everything else.
Let me tell you what's
We're going to stop giving money all around the world and start spending money on Americans.
The greatest threat is not global warming.
Okay.
That may be number 2
Well,
on the
it's not
list.
global warming anymore. It's climate change.
That may be climate change number 2 on the list.
Okay.
The greatest threat to mankind is artificial intelligence. And nobody really wants to talk about that.
People are talking about it all the time.
There are companies who have contracts with third world nations that are being allowed to develop artificial intelligence and weaponize it on such a level that's unreal because there's no regulation in those countries to stop them. What we're about to see with the weaponization of artificial intelligence,
have you seen the Tesla
is
robot?
going to be absolutely shocking.
Did you see the video of the Tesla robot? Oh, it's Terminator's coming. So what should we all do, Quanell? Personally, I think we should all make our own damn money, start our own businesses, move off the grid. I'm just kidding.
To be honest with you, I think that we all need to prepare.
Are you a doomsday guy now?
The America and the world that we've known for generations with artificial intelligence, that's about to flip. And how they're going to trick us with it? We're going to first get the great benefits of artificial intelligence. But then the nightmares will come shortly after.
See, I disagree. I think it'll be regulated. I think what we need to focus on right now is we need
countries.
RoboCop. We need more public safety. I think we want to fight against climate change and AI. We need to vote for John Whitmire tomorrow in the election.
If you want to see climate change, you want to see artificial intelligence downtown in City Hall, you vote for Whitmire because that's AI. But if you want to see freedom and freedom fighters and people who love this city, you vote for Sheila Jackson.
Let me point out, the only reason he supports Sheila and doesn't like Whitmire is because Whitmire's a white dude and Sheila's black. And if Whitmire was black and Sheila was white, he would have the exact opposite opinion.
And see, I've been trying.
Vote for the candidate.
I've been trying.
But
you make it difficult.
It's going to improve public safety.
I've been trying, but you make it difficult.
What have you been trying?
To forgive you.
For my whiteness?
Or your Klan membership.
There you go.